What's up, everyone? Kevin Allen here, aka the Geek from DFS Army. It's NFL Week 10, and this is your DraftKings NFL First Look, where we take a look at the DraftKings salary system for the Week 10 main slate. Can't believe it. You know, we're over the hump and heading to the second part of the season. And this is about the time when the salary algorithms really start pricing the players correctly. So I think we're going to see a little bit of that this week, where the bargains are going to be fewer and further between. So we're going to have to dig deeper and kind of work harder to find those punts. And hopefully, I mean, we crushed it last week. Really could not have nailed the first look last week any better with Fields at the quarterback position. We had ETN. You know, I can't remember who else we had, but I know we had Tyreek Hill in there. So we were all over Tua and Fields in the first look last week, and they smashed. It was a really incredible week if you loaded up on Fields like I did. So hopefully we're going to have another smash this week, and we'll see what the games look like. So before we actually go and break down the players, salaries, and all of that, let's just take a look at the games real quick and see if there's anything that stands out. Here we got the Seahawks at the Bucks, 44.5-point total. Bucks home, 2.5-point favorites here. I kind of like this game, 44.5-point total. Listen, we've gotten a lot of disappointing performances out of the wide receivers and for Brady in general and from the Seattle pretty much. They've been disappointing the last few weeks, but we've got we got Kenny Walker on the Seahawks. That's a solid play. And of course, maybe Brady and his pass guy. I don't know if I can do Brady anymore. I might be over it. Who knows? Next up, we got the Vikings heading out to Buffalo to play the Bills. This is a tough spot for the Vikings coming off that emotional win against the Commanders this past week. Bills have some issues with Josh Allen's shoulder. So this is the first Bills game that seems to be competitive in forever. 46-point total is kind of low. A little surprised, to be honest, that it's that low. Kind of want to bet the over, but maybe I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe the Allen injury is worse than I thought. I doubt it. So let's see what happens there. But that is a game to keep an eye on. This next one is one of my favorites. Might be my favorite on this slate. Lions at the Bears. Oh my. I said it. 48.5-point total on this one. And, I have to say, Justin Fields is out there looking like everything we'd hoped Lamar Jackson would look like. Running for 160, record-breaking yardage total last week, 48 fantasy points. I'm not expecting more of the same, but the Lions are that team that you target with opponents. They're that team, right? So they're playing the Bears. The Bears have been putting up monster scores each week. The Lions usually can answer. I think this is a points fest. I really like that game. So let's pay close attention to that one. Next up, we got Broncos at the Titans, a 39-point total. I mean, if there was ever a time when we probably shouldn't play Derrick Henry in a game, this is probably it. 39 points. Broncos, pretty good defense. They're better against the pass than the run. Derrick Henry's a beast. He could do it no matter what the matchup is, but I don't know about this one. Flip side, Titans are really bad against receivers, and maybe Jerry Jeudy, maybe keep him in mind. But no, that's a horrible game environment. Next up, we got the Jaguars and the Chiefs, and obviously this is another pretty good game environment across the board. On the Chiefs side, it's the Chiefs. They're going to do their thing. Mahomes, Kelsey. It seems like Juju Smith-Schuster is kind of emerging as like a primary wide receiver one at this point. Mecole Hardman might be of interest. He's had a bunch of good games in a row. They're using a lot of Hardman. So maybe he's a salary saver we can take a look at in that one. Next, we've got the Browns at the Dolphins. This is another fun game. As a matter of fact, this is a bunch of fun games on the slate. This one is in that realm. And listen, Tua and crew been killing it week after week. I think we're going to see more of the same. I think that continues. The Dolphins love to throw the football. They just throw it more frequently than other teams do. They don't really lean that heavy on the run, although I have to say, Jeff Wilson Jr. looked pretty good in that offense this past week as well. And of course, the Browns can do it in the via the air or on the ground. They still have Brissett up there, but Amari Cooper's been pretty good. And as long as Amari Cooper is not a beat elite cornerbacks kind of wide receiver. So I'll be keeping an eye on the status of Xavier Howard. He's been out the last few weeks. I assume he'll be out again, or if he comes back, he might not be fully healthy. So I think it'd be all systems go here for Amari Cooper. Maybe if Njoku's still out, we can consider the tight end Bryant as well from the Browns as a salary saver. So we'll keep them in mind. Texans at the Giants, 39.5-point total. This is a bad one. Bad one. Don't want anything to do with these 39-point games. Pierce and whatever. Giants, Saquon Barkley. I mean, it's a good spot. It's an amazing spot for Saquon. That's about it here. It's Houston. You target running backs against Houston. That's Saquon. Colts at the Raiders, 42.5-point total. Man, this one's really, really gross as well. I don't really want much to do with this game. I mean, the Raiders side, sure, they're at home. This could be the Josh Jacobs bounce back spot. This might be it. I really like, Raiders defense as a possibility here. Josh Jacobs, maybe a pairing. I don't know if this is the go back to Devontae Adams game. We'll see. Cowboys at the Packers. That's a 42.5-point total. Cowboys, 5.5-point road favorites. Oh, man. I think that Zeke Elliott will be out another week, which brings Tony Pollard into the discussion, and we will discuss him. Last game on the main slate is Cardinals at the Rams. That one has a 43.5-point total. Two pretty good defenses here. I'm not going to get super excited about either of these teams for DFS purposes this week. So with that all being said, in record time, let's get into the NFL Week 10 lineup build. So let's start at the top here. We already talked about Josh Allen. That's a pretty good spot for him. And we haven't had Josh Allen in a competitive game. I don't think, it seems like forever. He's putting up 30, 26, 28, even in bad games. He's just so good. He's so good. Being evaluated elbow injury, ulnar collateral ligament. I'm still evaluating. We'll see where it goes. I'm going to assume he's going to be fine. So assuming he's going to be fine, yes, of course we want Josh Allen. I will try to get lots of exposure to him this week. 8,600 is obviously a massive price, but probably worth it. Pat Mahomes, same deal. Been putting up monster numbers. 35 fantasy points this past week. They're 38, 30. Pat Mahomes is always good. Always happy to roster him. I think Kyler Murray is a little overpriced, even at 7,200 relative to his recent production. So a player should be able to hit 4 times value once every 4 games. That's kind of how they're priced, right? They should be able to hit ceiling games once every 4 or so games. He's been salaried in the mid 7s. That's 7, 40, 20, 20. About 30 fantasy points is what he needs to hit that 4x value. He has done that once this season and not exceeded it. And I just think it's a little too expensive. There's a lot of duds in between. He's up against the Rams. The Rams are a pretty good defense. I think GPP only here. But Kyler Murray, he's got that crazy upside, but he doesn't get there as frequently as Josh Allen or Mahomes do. He just doesn't. Tua, 6,700. Yeah, I like Tua also. What did he put up last week? Another 27. He's just so good. Tua is no joke right now. They throw so much. It's not an intimidating matchup. They're at home. I do like Tua, and he is absolutely a candidate for this lineup. I think he's cash viable. You got to look at the savings. So 6,700 to 7,900. So obviously I like Mahomes and Josh Allen better, right? I like Tua, but I like these guys better, but you have to pay a lot more. So almost 2K below Josh Allen. You got to save enough to make it worth going down, or you just spend up. So I like Tua. Dak Prescott, I don't know. I don't know about Dak. Not ready to trust him yet. Justin Fields, though, is somebody I love. 6,500. Again, look at all the rushing yardage. He's doing okay throwing it as well. He's just have so much more poise. It's really amazing what's going on with Justin Fields right now. We've been on it. I don't feel like we're bandwagon chasing. we've been talking about Fields for the last couple of weeks. He was our quarterback of the week last week. He smashed, but I got to give props to Bobby Wow and DFS Up North, two of my partners on the Showdown Breakdowns, and in DFS Army, just breaking down on the NFL team. They've been on, Bobby Wow has been on Fields for weeks. The field has not been on Fields. It's been a major DFS Army advantage. So it's been an awesome run. I'm sticking with it. By the way, on that note, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you want more of this kind of content. You want to see who we're on, get those Showdown breakdowns. You've got to subscribe to the channel. Let us know that you like what we're doing here. Anyway, all right, to continue. So Fields is my guy this week. Going right back to Fields. And I will stack him with Mooney, not with Cole Kmet. Although, what if Cole Kmet does it again? No, I don't. Man, that's a leap. Maybe Chase Claypool, but I'm going to plug in Darnell in there for now. So we've got our quarterback picked out. I'm just going to go down the rest of the list here, though, and see if there's anybody else that stands out. That was 6,500. So, we've got Kirk Cousins at Buffalo. That's not a good scene. Russell Wilson, he just sucks. That's a great matchup. It's as good as it gets. Tennessee cannot stop the pass and whatnot. But Wilson sucks. Aaron Rodgers, I told you guys last week, he became chalk. And I was like, what are you? You're going to have chalky Aaron Rodgers? And don't do that, right? He's not putting up numbers, even against the line. He's not putting up more than a 16. He does it every week. Stop. Daniel Jones at Houston. I think this could be a sneaky spot. I never want to really trust Daniel Jones, but he's the ultimate GPP only kind of guy. It's Houston. If you're ever going to have a great game, it's at home against Houston. But, it's also a possibility that Barkley takes over a game. But that's a good spot for Daniel Jones. Derek Carr, meh. I never play Carr. Stafford, no. Goff, no. Well, no. Rather play Fields. Dalton, no. Lawrence, maybe. So Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville at Kansas City. I don't mind this. So if we need to save, our cheap quarterback, I think, is going to have to be T-Law, because I'm not seeing anything below that price. So, unless we want to go to Sam Erlinger, which we don't, no, thank you. So it's probably going to be T-Law, unless, I guess Malik Willis would be the other one. But no, not doing it. Trevor Lawrence is the cheap, viable paydown quarterback, I think, of the week at Kansas City. He's going to have to be throwing a ton. Sucks to actually use Trevor Lawrence because, he's just not that good right now. But I can't fault what he did last week. They're just leaning very, very heavy on ETN, which reminds me, we got to talk running back. So let's talk the running back position real quick. And starting at the top, we've got Saquon Barkley. Great at Houston. Best matchup on the board, 8,600. A little expensive, but I'm going to keep him in mind. I see Barkley as the running back position is really tough. We're going to go through it right now. You're going to see it is not going to be an easy week at running back. There's only a few viable plays, and I'll point out a lot of plays that we normally like that are not viable, and you'll kind of see, oh shit, this is going to be a tricky one. And yeah, if we can afford it, Saquon Barkley, yes. And it might be worth it trying to figure out a way to make it happen. But the problem, again, is this is middling salary week. There are no glaring underprices that allow us to do this. Look at Fields. We got him last week for 53. Now we got to pay 65. So Derrick Henry, I already talked about this situation. That is not a good team to try to put up a lot of points against Denver. I do think Henry will do his thing, but maybe this is that game where he probably only gets 2 touchdowns instead of the 3 he needs to smash. I don't know. But Henry's fine, just not a very, very good matchup. Nick Chubb, just fine. I don't normally use Nick Chubb on DraftKings. You'll see why, even these 28s. So you're like, hey, you haven't been using Chubb? You suck. He's been having big games. He needs a 32. At 8K, he needs to get to 32. He got it once this year, and so he got there once. He's been smashing, though. I got to give it to him. But the problem is, with no passing game work, He needs the third touchdown to get to 32. Like he crossed 100. That's all. The most you can get when you cross 100 is 103. So let's say you win 150. So you can get 18 fantasy points if you did 150 yards. No receptions, 18 fantasy. You have to add 2 touchdowns to it just to get to 28. 612. Yeah, just to get to 30. So 150 yards, 2 touchdowns is what he needs to make value with no passing game upside. And he splits touches with another guy. At least with Derrick Henry, when you get that, you're getting a guy he's basically the only one carrying the football. And with Barkley, you're getting a bunch of targets to offset some of that cost. The targets really, Barkley, in fairness and in unfairness to him, he has not been making value at all or coming close to it. He has a nice high floor, but I mean, they're not throwing to him as much as, quite honestly, I would personally like. But this is that elite matchup against Houston. Anyway, all right, Josh Jacobs. This could be a bounce back spot for Jacobs. Going to be tough to pull the trigger. He's disappointed us the last couple of weeks, but the volume was there last week. He just didn't quite get there. Kamara coming off a really horrible dud on Monday night. I think he could bounce back, but it's really disturbing. But let's start off our lineup here with Travis Etienne, and we played him last week, and I think we go right back to him here. 28 carries, 2 targets. The volume is crazy for Etienne right now. 28 carries, 2 targets. I would like to see the target numbers come up. There's risk if you're only going to throw 2 or 3 times to him. If they were throwing 5 or 6 times to Etienne, he would probably, he's getting fairly priced here. He's kind of fairly priced at 7,100. I don't think we're getting a crazy bargain, but he might find his way up to the high 7s at some point, like 7,600 in that Delvin Cook zone. Speaking of Cook, I'm just skipping that. I mean, I'm not playing him against Buffalo. It's a horrible spot. AJ Dillon is a no. But here's another guy who I want to talk about, and that's Tony Pollard. So I don't think Zeke will play this week. If he plays, he's probably going to be hobbled anyway, and it's not even going to make too much of a difference. So Tony Pollard will probably be the featured back. But I do want to note that even last week against Chicago when he played 2 weeks ago, 14 carries, 1 reception. He put up that monster number, but it was deceiving. He got 3 touchdowns. He ran for 131 yards, so he looked great doing it. But what I observed was that his volume was not significantly higher than he had in week 7 or week 6 when Zeke played. So what do we make of that? What I say is that's scary shit, because I think we're getting the same general Tony Pollard we usually get. The difference is he gets the goal line touches, which leads to more touchdowns. So buyer beware. We're going to be careful. We're not going to go all in. I'm not going crazy with it, because I don't think we're going to see, or I don't think that we can rely on. So with ETM, we're relying on 28, maybe 30 touches in a game. And so he has a bad game. He has 22, 23. With Pollard, we're really kind of looking at like a 15 to 17 touches situation, and that's just less good. So he's going to have to do it efficiently. All right, right about now, I think we should pop in a defense so we get a sense of how much average remaining salary we have left per player before we kind of go through the wide receiver group. And I usually just try to find the cheapest viable defense, which looks to be, let's see if any of these are even viable. KC, no. Buffalo, no. Miami, no. Packers, Dallas, no. I would say Colts are playable here at Vegas. Texans at the Giants, maybe. But it seems to me that the best one here is Cardinals at the Rams. The Rams just, there's a reason Stafford's been terrible. They have no offensive line over there. Okay. The other thing I want to do is actually just check the price of Harrison Bryant, who is very cheap, and that is who I would like to plug in at tight end. We'll take a look at the whole tight end position, but for now I'm going to plug him in there. We'll see if there's somebody else. If I can afford, and he did so bad that last game, but I still kind of like him in a sneaky way. All right, but that leaves us 6,300 left, so let's get back to the wide receiver position and go through this player by player. Tyreek Hill, yes, please, 9,100, awesome. Cooper Kupp, yeah, great as well. Justin Jefferson, probably, I like these other two wide receivers, maybe a little bit better. Buffalo's not like a defense I want to target. Devontae Adams had the monster game this past week. Not sure he can keep it up. Stephon Diggs, sure, why not? I like all these guys, but we're seeing here, I like these players, but they're priced up quite a bit. Hopkins, I'm less excited about this week after the dud from last week. Hopkins showed us that they don't always throw to him 10 plus times. And when they don't, it's problematic because Hopkins is such a low depth of target and no yak guy that he needs this massive volume in order to produce. 14 targets, only 23. Here he had the 12 receptions and one long reception, but that almost never happens. So Hopkins probably going to be a little more stay away now that he's priced up in the zone of, some of these other very, very exciting wide receivers that, seem to me can do a little bit more. Jalen Waddle, sure. CeeDee Lamb, I'm not, that spot. The volume just hasn't been there for CD. He can pop off, but the volume has not been there. Amon-Ra coming off a tough game, but I do like going back to Amon-Ra here. It's been a while, though, since we've had a sun god level performance. I feel like he got priced all the way up based on this one game, and then, he just has not done it again. But we're all chasing that one game. He's still in that high, in the 6K. He went up after last week, even after the bad game because of the matchup here. So I'm interested in St. Brown, but, I got my eye on you, Amon-Ra. You better have that big game. We can pop him in there for now because he does tie in with our Fields-Mooney start to this lineup. Olave's been great. Nothing to complain about there. Amari Cooper is somebody I really like this week, and I would like to plug him in this spot as well, but I'm not sure that 5,600 in the flex is really going to allow us to do anything that I'm super excited about. I was hoping to get to Lazard. So actually, let's continue on down and see if we can kind of find something where we can get two players, fill out a real lineup and don't have to change anything else, or we might have to switch off of Amon-Ra, which is fine. As a matter of fact, I think kind of what we want to do here, I'm going to switch off Amon-Ra, and what I want to do is kind of build this a little more standard during the week, which means the way I'm going to always build on DraftKings is you want to find one sort of punt play. Last week it was Palmer and Carter, the two wide receivers from the Chargers with all the other injuries. And both did fine. Palmer I had 100% exposure. There's not too much good going on in this cheaper zone here. There's a couple of names, though, that I'm interested in, and I'll go through them. So George Pickens, I think he's playable. No Chase Claypool, I think he's very playable at 5K. Hasn't done it yet. Not in love with the quarterback there, but I think he's very much in play. Robert Woods, probably no. Chase Claypool, if we wanted to get a different wide receiver, I think he's fine. Another week of practice will do him some good. Robinson at Arizona, not super excited. Wan'Dale Robinson, that is interesting. The one thing I'm going to go with here is Mecole Hardman. And number one, it gives us a little bit of, correlation here with Travis Etienne, same game. And I do like those kind of situations where we can get a little correlation going in the same game. And Hardman's been hot lately. He's put up 28 a couple weeks ago, 19 fantasy points, 13, 12. We're really looking more for the 13 to 17 pointer out of him, and we'll be happy. So I'll go with Mecole Hardman right there. 72.5. So now we can get to a Studley kind of a play. And this is where we have decisions to make. But I'm going to try to go back to, I liked Amon-Ra, but I really just generally love Tyreek and Cooper Kupp and trying to get one of these studs in my lineup. I'm not sure we're going to be able to afford that. Yeah, that leaves us 5,400. Not the best scene. Let me see what happens if we go to Lazard, who I really kind of like. We got 8,400 left. Stephon Diggs. Yeah, okay. I'll take Diggs. I'm good like that. So we could either go with Diggs here or we could pull off of Harrison Bryant, as a matter of fact. If I wanted to pick a different sort of high-end play, let's see, Diggs, 83. If I want to go down a little bit. I don't. I'm not liking it. So, I mean, I guess I can go down here and do something different, but I don't like it. So, you know what? Screw that. I liked what we had going on. And we'll go with Harrison Bryant as a super punt tight end to wrap it all up. I do want to mention, actually, as we run through, I want to take a quick mention of a couple tight ends that I'm interested in. But the primary one is, whoever's facing Arizona, which this week is Tyler Higbee. So I wouldn't mind getting Tyler Higbee in this one over Bryant if we could. So I want to make sure I mention that. Obviously, Kelsey's in play. Hawkinson, big week last week. So we've got a few tight ends here. Normally, I would like Freiermuth, but he's not. He's out this week. Let me see here. Oh, he plans on playing. You know what? All right. We are not going to cheat this. Bryant is out. Njoku plans to play. That is actually quite amazing. I think we go right back to Higbee then. And I do, but again, I like some of these other ones as well. Dalton Schultz is fine. So there's a few tight ends here that all kind of are acceptable. Evan Ingram, Dawson Knox, fine by me. All of these are kind of okay plays. And then I like Schultz maybe a little more than an okay play, but Tyler Higbee, man, this line, the matchup against the Cardinals, you got to attack it. This past week, Noah Fant, I think, hit 100 yards. Like, you got to attack that matchup, and I'm just going to do it. So let's close this one out. We can go with Kamara here. Just slap a running back in this last spot. CeeDee Lamb could fit Amon-Ra in there as well, but I think I'll just plug in Kamara. But know that Amon-Ra would make for a really interesting bring back in that other game, and then we could potentially upgrade somewhere else or on the defense. So there we go. DraftKings NFL Week 10. Here's your first look. Remember, like, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to check out everything that DFS Army has to offer, sign up promo code Geek gets you 10% off VIP. So come check us out, get access to all our tools, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys later in the week. Good luck.